Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Marwa Shille and my colleague Sana Tayem, and we both work with Education USA Advising Center at the Amid East office in Ramallah Al Bira. And we're so happy to be with you today to cover the application process and the different admission requirements that you need to prepare yourself for if you want to apply to US universities and colleges. And this session is specifically for high school seniors who are already working on their application folder or might start the process very soon. And so today we will talk about, the different requirements from standardized tests, recommendation letters, writing your personal essay, submitting your high school transcripts, and of course, we will have time to answer questions at the end. So if you have any questions during the session, please feel free to write them in the chat box and we will answer them at the end of our presentation. Also, you can feel free at the end also to unmute yourself and ask your question. You can do that as well. But before we begin, we would like just to talk to you about Education USA, just in case you are joining us for the first time. So Education USA is a US Department of State network. There are over 430 advising centers in 178 countries and territories around the world. And as you can see, the small yellow circles or dots on that map, these are our Education USA advising centers. And our goal is to offer, accurate, comprehensive information to students who are interested in studying in the US and to guide you and help you throughout the application process and beyond. And so our advising services are for free. And we usually have a range of services like center group information sessions. We have, of course, one-on-one individual consultations. We have our pre-departure orientation sessions. We also discuss, different topics related to the application process. We also visit local high schools and universities and different youth centers and American spaces. We also provide support for US universities and colleges who visit the country. And so we connect them with our students and we help them with the different college fairs that they have for the public. Since March of last year, we have been working virtually. And so all of our advising services are now virtual. And we have been connecting with students and having all of these different sessions and services online, just like today's session through Zoom. And you can see some of the pictures are before the pandemic. So you can see the different activities that we had. So there are more than 4,000 accredited US higher education institutions in the United States. And of course, each college or university will be unique from one institution to another. And so it is very important for you to understand the different steps that you need to go through so you can actually find the best fit universities and colleges, so you will have a high chance of admission and also scholarships if you are looking to apply for scholarships. And so when we talk about different US universities and colleges, we usually talk about three different types. We have the community colleges, we have the public universities, and then the private universities and colleges. First, the community colleges, they usually offer the 2-year associate degree. Community colleges, they are known for many things. First, they have a smaller number of students compared maybe to other universities. Also, community colleges usually have lower tuition when you compare them with other US higher education institutions. And community colleges usually do not offer on-campus housing. If you are looking for on-campus housing, you will usually not find it in community colleges. Community colleges, there are many students who apply and enroll at community colleges for many reasons. One of them I just mentioned, which is because community colleges have lower costs than the other universities and colleges. The second reason is that the admission requirements usually for community colleges are a little bit less compared to other US higher education institutions. And a third reason, some students, they actually apply and enroll at a community college and they finish 2 years and then they transfer to a 4-year university or college and then they complete another 2 years, and that way they will have their bachelor's or their 4-year degrees basically. For community colleges, because we have a lot of students who ask us about scholarship opportunities, you will not find many scholarship opportunities or need-based financial aid at community colleges. If there are any scholarship opportunities, they are usually very, very limited. For public universities, of course, they offer, the bachelor's, PhD programs, master's, graduate programs, all of that. They have, their cost is a little bit more than community colleges. And just like the community colleges, they usually, in general, do not offer scholarships to international students. And if they do, they are usually limited. Private universities and colleges, when you compare them to the other US higher education institutions, they usually have the highest cost of attendance, but they usually offer scholarships and financial aid to international students. And so when you look at the list of universities, or when you search for different colleges and universities that you want to apply to, you want to keep in mind, what type of US higher education institution do you want to apply to? Is it a community college? Is it a public university? Or is it a private university or a private college? So your 5 steps to US study is a guide for any student who want to apply to an American institution. The first step is to research your options. It is very important for you to understand and learn the different requirements for that institution, so you can actually prepare yourself. Again, as I have mentioned, there are over 4,000 accredited US higher education institutions, and at the end of the day, you'll probably apply to only 6 or to 10, between 6 to 10 universities and colleges. And so you want to make sure that you will have the best fit universities and colleges for you based on your research. The second step is to finance your studies. It is important for you to understand the cost of attendance, which will include many things, not only the tuition and fees, but you have to take in consideration the books and supplies, the room and board, any personal expenses, transportation, health insurance, and any other personal expenses that you might have. And you need to understand the different types of financial assistance that some universities and colleges might offer to you as an international student, and whether you will qualify for these scholarships and opportunities or not. The third step is to complete your application. Your application folder and the admission requirements will include many things, and usually students will need to prepare themselves at least 12 to 18 months before their enrollment date, because some requirements, for example, like taking the SAT or taking the TOEFL, you need to prepare for these exams. So you need to have some time to get to know these exams, prepare for them, and take them. And some students, for example, might not get the score that they want from the first time, so they have to study again and retake these exams. And so some of the requirements will take some time, and that's why it is very important for you to apply, to prepare yourself as early as possible. The fourth step is to apply for your student visa. It is, of course, as an international student, you need to have your visa so you can actually travel and enter the United States to pursue your academic program. And so there are different steps that you need to take and follow so you can actually apply and receive your visa. The fifth and final step is to prepare for your departure. Once you have your visa, you need to plan and organize maybe some things here in the country before you travel, and as well communicate with your institution in the US to finalize maybe the dorm options and other things as well. The website, which you can see on the screen in red, educationusa.state.gov, has so many information about these 5 steps, and the information is divided according to the level of study. For example, undergraduate, there's a section for undergraduate, a section for community colleges, graduate studies, online programs, and etc. And so it is very important for you to understand these steps to look at our Education USA website. So when should you submit your applications to US universities and colleges as a high school senior? So for US universities and colleges, you will have to submit your applications usually during the first semester of your senior year of your 12th grade. So the application deadlines usually start between November until like January. However, there are some institutions that will have application deadlines beyond January as well. And so first we have the early decision. The early decision, basically, it's an earlier deadline, typically between November 1st to November 15th in general, early November, and usually apply only to one school as ED. And that's because it is binding. And when we say binding, we mean that if you apply to the school as early decision and you receive acceptance and you receive the scholarship or financial aid package that you are looking for, then you have to accept that university or college offer. And so when we talk about early decision, it is usually your like dream school, the school that you want to attend. And so you can, some universities and colleges might have 2 different early decision deadlines, ED1 and ET2, and you might actually apply to a school, for example, as ED, and then let's say you were rejected from that school, maybe you can look into another school and apply to that school as ED2, and usually get the reply or answer from that university or college in December. Early action, also earlier deadline, usually between November or early December. It is non-binding, which means that even if you receive admission and a scholarship consideration, you do not have to commit to that school. Again, you will also receive, just one. Sorry about that. So when you apply to a school as early action, you will also receive an earlier notification, and you can actually apply to multiple schools as early action. We have a few schools who might offer restrictive early action. You can actually apply only to one school, usually as restrictive early action, and that school might have other restrictions, like you cannot apply to other schools as ED or EA. So you need to make sure that you understand these different deadlines. We also have the rolling admissions, which means that universities and colleges do not have a specific deadline, but they accept students on a rolling basis. And they do not have to wait until a certain date to notify students whether they have been accepted or not. The last option is regular decision. And usually most of the universities and colleges you will apply to will be under the regular decision. The deadlines are usually between late December and early January. And you will usually get the notification between March and maybe early April. And so when you choose your list of universities and colleges, you want to take in consideration these different deadlines. We do recommend our students to have at least one early decision school and then have the other options. Sana, I'm sorry, can you continue just for 1 minute?
Yes, yes, sure, go ahead. Okay. I think I need to share my screen so that I can go further. Okay. The next slide is defining your priorities. So a lot of you may have already begun the process of researching and already may have an initial list. And so what you're looking for in a potential university or college is, again, as Marwa mentioned, the type of school, whether it's a community college, public university, or private university or college, the academics, the major that you're interested in, or the area of study that you are interested in. Now, of course, you may find that your decision to choose a major may not be initial decision. You may want to wait until after your first year or even into your second year of college, and that is definitely possible. You could always change your area of study or your major of study. You can start off, deciding to study biology, but later on figure that I prefer natural sciences or environmental sciences, or move totally across the spectrum and decide on humanities or the arts. And so the flexibility that the U.S. university system offers not only domestic students but also international students is the flexibility to choose your major well into your studies. And because you are taking courses to graduate and also electives, you're able to have that flexibility and to take courses in different areas of study, different disciplines, and then later on decide. There are some universities and colleges that will offer you the option to create your own major from different disciplines. And so some of the liberal arts colleges are known for offering international and domestic students the opportunity to create your own major. I think okay.
I'm back. Sorry about that. My niece was knocking on the door and he wanted something.
It's okay. So I'll just continue with this slide and then you can continue with the rest.
No
and
problem.
So as I mentioned, so in terms of majors, you will have that flexibility. The only caveat or the only exception may be those who are interested in some of the engineering fields, where a lot of the universities and colleges will want to have you commit to the area of study in engineering, because they want to start you off with your curriculum your first semester so that you're able to finish your 4-year degree, engineering degree, at the end of 4 years. Whereas in our colleges here in country, you'll, if you don't know already, the engineering programs here are 5 years, whereas in the U.S. they're 4 years if you start off your freshman year. There are some colleges and universities that, especially colleges, will have pre-engineering, whereby you may major in physics, for example, or math for the first 3 years, and then transfer to university to complete your engineering program. And we can talk about that with some of you who are interested in engineering, but I just wanted to mention it as a frame of reference for some of you. And of course, the size of the college, the university, do you prefer to be at a very large university or smaller college, urban, suburban area? All of that you should be taking into consideration. The cost of the college and what the college or university offers in terms of scholarships and financial aid, and of course activities. If you're interested in various sports, if you're interested in activities that you would like to pursue and continue pursuing in college, you may also want to look at the types of activities that are offered through university campus life and sports activities and so forth. Okay. Marwa, all right. You want to start there?
Yes, thank you so
Okay.
much, Sana. So when you want to choose your list of colleges and universities, you need to make sure that it is a balanced list. And so when you want to shortlist your schools, let's say between 6 to 10 options, you need to think about the different terms you can see on the screen, to have dream schools, realistic, and safety schools. And that way you can have more of a chance to get admission and hopefully financial aid packages that you are looking for. And so when we talk about these different terms, when we say a dream school, it means that you match maybe the lower end of the successful applicants. The realistic schools, you match the median of successful applicants, and then you have the safety schools where you match the upper end of successful applicants. And when we talk about, how you will know whether you will be a good match for this university or college, you need to do your research and you need to compare your qualifications with what usually this university or college accept. And so you need to take a good look at your GPA, for example, for 9th, 10th, 11th, and the first semester of your 12th grade. You need to take a look at your standardized exam scores, like the TOEFL IBT or the IELTS or the Duolingo or the SAT-1 exams. Also, you need to take a look at the financial aid that they offer, and based on what and whether they are merit-based scholarships, will you qualify for these scholarships. And so you need to make sure that you will fit into the category that this institution usually look for when they want to admit students to their college or university. And so when you want to do your research, there are multiple websites and search engines that you can use. You can see here some of them. We have the College Board Big Future. It is the most commonly used by our students. The second one is the Common Application. They actually have a section to explore different US universities and colleges. And then you have the Peterson's College Search. And the final one is the Women's Colleges, which is basically a website specifically for colleges who only accept girls, females. And what's great, for example, about the Big Future website, you can actually filter your options based on what you want, the different things that Sana have mentioned, like the major, the type of institution, the financial aid, whether it is offered for international students or not. And so you can actually choose different things. And so they will give you the results based on your selections. So the application requirements, there are many different things that you need to work on. First, you have the online application. Usually submit your applications to US universities and colleges through a website called thecommonapp.org. We also have the standardized tests that you need to take as an international student. Some of them might be required and others might be optional. We also have, you have to submit your academic records. Usually your school counselor or someone from your school, a school official or teacher, will have to submit your academic records on your behalf. Also, you will need to ask for recommendation letters from your counselor and teachers. The personal statement, another important component that you need to work on. And if you want to apply to need-based aid, you need to complete some financial aid documents. And some universities and colleges might ask you for an interview, or it might be optional and you would like to take that chance, that opportunity. And so we will talk about these different requirements in the next few slides. And so first, submitting your applications to US universities and colleges will be through the Common Application, commonapp.org. It is most commonly used by many students around the world, and actually nearly 900 universities and colleges use this application. Many of them, of course, most of them are American universities and colleges, and there are few international schools as well. And through the Common Application, you can actually apply up to 20 universities and colleges, but that does not mean that you have to submit your applications to 20 universities and colleges. Of course, you will need to create your own account, username and password, and you need to complete 7 different sections. There are personal information, family information. They want to know your education history, your extracurricular activities. You will also submit your personal essay through the Common Application. Some universities might ask you to also talk about your grades. And so there are different sections that you need to complete. And so it was actually launched, and every year they launch the Common Application on August 1st. And so you can actually create your account, and you will see all of the updated information for this application cycle. Of course, each college or university will set its own application fees. And so this will vary from one institution to another. You can actually check the university's websites and see if they actually offer application fee waivers. And if whether you qualify or not, they will mention that also on their website. Of course, we always have exceptions. Some universities and colleges may not use the Common App, and so they will use other application platforms, Universal College Application, or they might have their application forms on their website. So you need to double check on their website whether they use the Common App or not. And at the same time, you can actually find the list of universities and colleges that use the Common App on the Common App website itself.
Okay, thank you, Marwa. I will start this section with an overview of the standardized tests. If you're not aware, all universities and colleges in the US will require that you submit some type of exam that will indicate your English proficiency, whether it's the TOEFL IBT, the IELTS, or the Duolingo exam. There are universities that will offer exceptions to this requirement. For example, if you attend an English-speaking school and your studies have been in English for the last 3 or 4 years, that may be an exception. If you're an IB student, again, that they may take that into consideration. You may want to submit, if they request that you submit your English IB course result, you can submit that in lieu of the standardized proficiency exams or the GCE. So there may be some exceptions from universities or colleges, and you will find those exceptions if they are offered to you as an international student on the university website. But these are one or all 3 of the exams, one of the 3 that you will take. The TOEFL IBT is an exam that is offered at testing centers. There is a second option, which is a home test option that you can take online. The IELTS is through the British Council, so you can contact the British Council and check their website for information about upcoming exams and any kind of prep coursework or resources that you may want to use in preparing for the IELTS exam as well. The Duolingo is the most recent, and last few years has been offered to students who prefer an alternative form of proficiency test taking, and that is an at-home exam, and it's you can take it at any time. It's much more flexible in terms of the time because you are taking the test at home. It is less expensive than the other 2 options. And of course, more than 2,000 universities and colleges in the US have added this option as an alternative to the first two exams that I've mentioned. So you also have that option. So in your search, if you find that all of your schools only require either the TOEFL or IELTS, then that's what options you have. If they offer you also the Duolingo, you may want to consider the Duolingo since it is less expensive, and the dates that are offered are much more flexible. Next slide, please. When should you take the English proficiency exam? We recommend, if you're all seniors, we recommend that you take the exam as soon as possible. If you are juniors, then you have a bit more time to take the exam, to prepare and to take the exam, so that if you feel like you need to retake it, you'll have more time to prepare and retake before you begin your application submission. And because application deadlines begin as early as November 1st, and that's in the next couple of months, we do highly recommend that those of you who have not registered for the TOEFL or IELTS or the Duolingo to please do so, so that you're able to determine if your score will allow you eligibility to apply to the universities and colleges that you would like to apply to. And of course, those exams will be indicated, and the minimums for these exams will be indicated on each university or college website. Some universities and colleges will not require an English proficiency exam. They may recommend, they may offer you other options to submit documents to indicate your English proficiency. And as I mentioned, for example, if you attend an English-speaking school, that may qualify you not to sit for any of these exams. And so it's very important for you to check the university and college website to determine the requirements and the minimum, so that you're able to choose the universities and colleges based on one factor, and that is the minimum score required, as well as the other factors that we'll continue talking about throughout this session. Next slide, please. The SAT-1, it's a reading, writing, and math exam. Again, some of you from the participant list, I know you've taken the SAT at least once. And so the SAT for many universities since the COVID pandemic have offered it as a test optional exam, which means you may choose to submit your test results or you may choose not to submit, and that will be your decision based on more than one factor. But obviously the main factor is if you do test low, your scores are lower than the median range of what that university or college usually accepts, then you may want to choose not to submit that score. Some schools have removed it as a requirement altogether. And so again, make sure that you check out the university website to determine if an SAT is required. If it is, then of course you have to submit a test result. And usually the requirement for universities or colleges may be both for admission consideration and for scholarship consideration. For many other universities, it may just be for scholarship consideration. You may not be required to submit it for admission, but if you are looking for a merit-based scholarship, they may want to see an SAT. And again, as I said, if it's an SAT optional school, then you can choose not to submit. If you do take the test and you scored low, that may be a reason for you not to submit. And the universities will not use that against you in terms of their consideration for your admission. So it will not hurt you. What it will do is help you if you do receive a competitive score for admission and scholarship consideration. Next slide, please. And so these are the upcoming dates for the SAT exams. And these are international dates around the world, and the multiple choice scores or the results will be available usually in the same month in which you take the exam. So That way it will help you decide if you need to retake the exam or not. I believe, Marwa, the October 2nd deadline to register has passed. And so
Yes.
those of you who have not taken the SAT and will need it for either admission or December. Having said that, some of the universities or colleges, if they do require a test result for admission consideration, if you apply either early decision or early action. There are some exceptions. Some universities will indicate on their website that they would like to receive your test scores, for example, by the end of December. So December 4th would be acceptable if you do take the December 4th test. So again, there is quite a bit of flexibility with our U.S. universities and colleges, so that you are able to test and submit the results in time. Next slide, please. And so this slide just shows you several links that you can check to help you prepare for the SAT and for the IELTS and for also the TOEFL. And we can definitely share these links with you in a follow-up email if you have not received them before. And so please take advantage of these free resources that we share with you, so that you will not need to take preparation courses that you need to pay for. With that said, America House Jerusalem and also Emmett East during the course of the year will offer courses for free for the SAT and for the TOEFL IBT. And again, if these courses are made available for the public, please be sure to check out the requirements for registration and for applying. And we will definitely also share with you any announcements for such free course preparation programs offered through America House or through Emmett East. Next slide, please. Of course, when you're submitting your application, part of the application is also submitting your academic records, and those will be usually for 9th through 11th grade, and part of 12th grade if you have a midterm or mid-year result. School counselor, principal, or official from your school will also be required to submit those transcripts, and they should have, actually must have an email in order for you to add them to the common application. So you will be submitting their names and email addresses so that they receive information through the online common application system and directions for submitting your transcripts, and also other materials, including recommendation letters. Extracurricular activities will be important for you to share on the common application, and these extracurricular activities will be in the form of just a listing of activities, up to 10 activities that you've been involved with in your high school, and that you want to share with the university or college you're applying to. And these activities can be quite varied, and they may include volunteer work, programs that you've been involved with, whether they're through the Access Program, YES Program, the Competitive College Club, Model UN, summer camps. Basically, any of the activities that you've been involved with that you're passionate about, you will be asked to submit up to 10 activities to share with the university and college. Next slide. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, recommendation letters. Recommendation letters, you'll be required to submit between 2 to 3 recommendation letters from your teachers and school counselor or school official. And you may also have the option to submit an optional recommendation letter. For example, if you've been involved in an extracurricular activity or a program that you will want to highlight in your application folder, and you would like to ask someone who knows you well can also submit a recommendation letter on your behalf. But that will be determined by the university. So the university will indicate on its website how many recommendation letters are required, from whom should they be submitted, and if they offer the applicant the option to submit additional recommendation letters. And so that you will find on their website. And so ask 2 or 3 teachers who know you well and can write a recommendation that will really reflect who you are as a student, and the information that will help the university admissions committee learn more about you, not only as a student, but your potential as a college student, as a leader in the future. And so the recommenders should be thought about who you would like to recommend you, and please share with them a resume of your activities, and especially if there are teachers that were in your 11th grade, for example, and they need some reminding of what class that you took with them, or any additional information that you feel may help them in compiling a very strong recommendation letter. We recommend that you share with them your resume so that they have an idea of what you've been doing outside of your academic world, so they can better prepare a recommendation letter that will be inclusive of all the activities that you've been involved with, and your potential for success at college and beyond college. Next slide. The personal and supplemental essays, another important component or components to the application. If you're going to be using the common application system, you'll be asked to submit one essay, and that essay is up to 650 words maximum. And you'll be asked to choose from one of several prompts based on the topics that are shared for each essay prompt, and to write about one of those topics. And of course, you will be also given a chance to share your own topic if the topics that are offered are not standing out, are not catchy, or are not reflective of what you can write about, and you have something else that you would like to write about, you can choose your own topic. And so again, that's the flexibility that we have for writing essays. And so it's going to be a reflection of who you are as a person. It's going to be you telling your story of who you are, not rehashing.
Sana, you're muted.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I thought I was disconnected at first.
I was disconnected. Yeah, something's going on today with our system here. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Again, the supplemental essay, not all universities will require supplemental essays, but if they do, you will have to respond to the question at hand. And sometimes some of these questions are more reflective of the actual university, and they may be focused more on the academics, or, for example, why have you chosen X university to apply to? Or what is it about this university that has prompted you to apply to its programs? Or why? What area of study are you considering? And why do you think X university or X college is the right university or college for you? And so very specific questions that you will need to answer. And again, as I said, not all universities or colleges will require supplemental essays. Next slide, please. Okay, financing your education, another important factor for you to understand, and some terminology that we'd like to share with you and possibly reshare with those of you who've attended some of our previous sessions. Merit-based are based on your your academic achievements or or test scores, whether they're TOEFL, IBT, or SAT, special talents that you may have in the music or arts, or even if you're applying to athletic scholarships. So universities and colleges will share with you the types of merit-based scholarships they offer, and please do research those opportunities and apply to those scholarship opportunities if they apply to you. Need-based financial aid is funding awards based on demonstrated need, meaning it depends on what your family has indicated their ability to pay. And so in addition to the actual common application, you'll also be submitting financial aid forms indicating family income and how much your family is able to afford and to contribute to your education. And so if the family is unable to cover the costs, they will need to indicate an amount that they're able to cover during the course of your college education, and that's reflected in the demonstrated need. Many universities and colleges will indicate if they can cover the 100% of the students' demonstrated need. And so these are the universities and colleges you want to focus on, because many of our students will be looking for substantial financial aid, and not all universities and colleges will offer need-based aid. And so that is where you need to be very careful on when you're choosing the college and university. You also need to choose it based on the types of financial aid that they are able to offer international students if they qualify for those financial aid opportunities. And so please be aware of that, of the difference between merit-based and need-based aid. Next slide. Okay, and applying for need-based is a separate process, and of course you will be applying through different forms, either the CSS profile or the International Student Financial Aid application. Again, the university or college will indicate the type of financial aid form that will be required for you to fill out and submit. And they're not difficult forms to submit. You will need to have help from your family, your parents, because some of the information is based on their income and their assets, and so you will need to work with your parents to help you fill out some of the information there. If anyone is an American citizen, you'll also be eligible to apply for federal student aid. It's called FAFSA, and it's for U.S. citizens or green card holders or other eligible non-citizens. And so although most universities and colleges will have a tuition calculator on their website to help you determine how much you'll be required to cover once all the other factors are added to the calculator, you can use that to give you kind of an indication of how much you will need to cover minus what the university can offer. That will give you kind of a reference point if that university would be a match for you in terms of the types of financial aid and scholarships that they offer. Next slide, please. And so as we've done today, we've kept calm, Marwa and I, with our issues with technical challenges with our system. But for you, please do keep in mind that you need to track your deadlines for each university or college, test dates if you need to retake or take exams, the exams that we've mentioned. Of course, recommendation requests. Those of you who are seniors should be preparing to reach out to your teachers and school officials to prepare recommendation letters. And of course, these recommendation letters will be uploaded to the system. And so we will have other sessions, and we can also definitely connect with you if you have questions on the specifics of how the school will be required to submit your academic records and your recommendation letters to the common application system. And so we can help you along with that. But what we want from you today is to begin the process of thinking about who from your teachers would be potential recommenders, in addition to notifying your school that you will need them to submit your academic records online. And so if you don't have a counselor, you will need your school principal to notify you of who they have delegated to help you with those documents, and for them to upload those documents. And they will be required to have an email as well, so that the system, the online system, can send out an invitation for the recommenders to upload their documents. And of course, documents that are needed, as I said, keep track of those. Of course, your essay, if you haven't started, we highly recommend that you start writing, drafting your essay, and we'll be happy to look at a draft of your essay if you would like us to give you some feedback. I think unless there's anything else that we forgot on the list, you can add that. You can add those items during our chat in a minute or so. And these are our social media links, and so feel free to take a look at our Facebook page if you haven't done so already. We have lots of announcements and videos that you can take advantage of to learn more about study in the U.S. And of course, if you have any specific questions about your own application folder, feel free to email us at ramallah@educationusa.org. And I think now we'll take questions. If we have any questions, you can either, if you haven't added those questions to the chat box, we can definitely unmute you. If you can unmute yourself and ask those questions, and we can answer the best to our ability. Any questions? Is this all too much for you at this point? A lot of information, of course, but I think all of you know where you are. If you've already begun the process, you know where you are, where you're behind in terms of possibly testing and your college search. And so we highly recommend that if you do need further guidance, that you contact us at ramallah@educationusa.org, so we can learn from you where you are in the process, so that we can help you with a timeline, so that you're able to submit your applications on time, especially for early decision, early action applications that will be due as early as November 1st. So no questions? في أي أسئلة بدكم تسألونا بالعربي أو بالإنجليزي؟ ما عندنا مشكلة.
مرحبا.
أهلين.
حكيتوا إنه في دورات تحضيرية للسات أو التوفل في الإمديست، صح؟
ممكن يكون في دورات، بعرفش إذا في هلا إشي مدفوع الأجر بالأمديست، ولكن اللي بده ياخذ دورات تحضيرية عادة عشان الكوفيد والهيلث بروتوكولز المفروض تتصل في المكتب الدورات، وهم بيخبروكم ايش في عندهم وكيف التسجيل لأي دورة من ضمنها الSAT.
أتصل على مكتب الإمديست.
يس. انت باي منطقه؟ ذكرني.
رام الله.
رام الله. اوكي. ممكن تتصل في مكتبنا، وبحولوك على الدائره وبخبروك ايش متوفر وايش اي دورات عمالهم بيستقبلوا تسجيلات إلها.
تمام، شكرا.
واسألهم كمان شادي زي ما ذكرت سناء عن البيت الأمريكي، بيكون ممكن في جلسات مجانية كمان من خلال البيت الأمريكي والأميد إيست، يعني بالتعاون مع بعض، فبتقدر كمان تسأل الأميد إيست عن أي دورات من خلال البيت الأمريكي.
شكرا.
عفوا. هلا.
Okay, في سؤال عن موضوع I'm confused as to how I should list my school courses on the Common App. For example, for math, should I select other and not algebra or geometry or whatever? And also if the level is regular or advanced. You would enter the name of the course. So if it's algebra or geometry, it would be that's the course that you're taking or have taken. That would be what you would list. للcommon application regular versus advanced بالcommon application بعتبر advanced courses advanced placement إذا أنتوا إذا advanced is an option مش متذكر مروة is there a regular advanced or and AP as options ولا advanced اللي بيعتبر advanced placement?
I'm not sure. I can double check.
We can check that. ولكن إذا في خيارين advanced or advanced placement طلابنا عادة especially if you're taking pre-calculus you would enter advanced. ف تحديدا كثير من مدارسنا التوجيهي بكون الساينسز والماث بكونوا not regular but advanced بس بعتبر على المدرسة كيف تعتبر هاي الكورس فالأفضل تسأل أو تسألي المدرسة كيف هو مدرج كمادة is it advanced or regular ولكن for our purpose we can double check and see what options are available. I don't remember if advanced placement is indicated but the one thing you don't do is indicate that it's advanced placement. ما في عنا في بلدنا unless you are studying at a private American system school. مدارس وزارة التربية والتعليم عادة العامة أو الحكومية ما في عندهم advanced placement. So it would either be regular or advanced. But we can check and let you know by the end of this session. Okay. What if I start my application at the end of school? Meaning سامح at the end of school, meaning at the end of high school في التوجيهي? If that's what you mean, لا, because you'll be applying as a senior. No, you'll be applying as a senior your first semester. يعني أول فصل توجيهي اللي أنتوا هلا فيه هاي الفترة اللي أنتوا بدكم تقدموا للجامعات الأمريكية. ما تستنوا لبعد ما تخلصوا التوجيهي. الجامعات الأمريكية طلباتها بتقبل من الطلاب الأجانب أول فصل صف 12. هلا إذا طبعا بدكم تاخذوا الامتحان التوجيهي تبعتوا لهم النتائج لاحقا. مش مطلوب نتائج التوجيهي للجامعة تقرر بقبولكم أو عدم قبولكم للجامعات. الجامعات اللي بيطلبوا التوجيهي أي امتحان مطلوب لطالب يتخرج منه إذا اسمه توجيهي أو أي اسم تاني بدول تانية بدكم تقدموا هاي النتائج لاحقا مش وقت التقديم. وقت التقديم انتوا لسه مش ماخذين التجريبي فهم بيعتمدوا القرار بقبولكم أو عدم قبولكم بالجامعة اللي هو علامات 9 11 9 10 و11 وجزء من 12 بالإضافة للأمور الأخرى اللي ذكرناهم بالسيشن اليوم.
بالنسبة للكومن اب سناء لأن البنت سألت إذا بتحط algebra أو geometry أو حسب شو depends زي ما قلتي يعني إيش هي بالضبط اسم المادة عندها. So many options they have على الليست. ومن ناحية الكورس level كمان they have regular, standard, accelerated, AP لحالها, advanced لحالها, IB كلياته يعني حسب إيش بالضبط بيكونوا ماخدين في المدرسة.
بالضبط. فهذا الشيء بيعتمد من المدرسة مش أنا اللي بقدر أقرر إذا بعتبروا المدرسة regular أو advanced. بدكم تسألوا الإدارة زائد الأستاذ أو المعلمة اللي بيدرس هاي المادة. عشان في النهاية شهاداتكم المدرسية راح توصل للجامعة، فلازم تكون الأجوبة اللي جاوبوها على الكومن ابلكيشن تكون مطابقة مع المعلومات اللي بيشوفوها الجامعات بالشهاداتكم المدرسية. Okay. Oh, if a certain college required a SAT-1 test, does this mean that it is considered? No, it's not considered as a توجيهي score. A SAT-1 is a standardized exam that is basically a test to determine your eligibility to succeed at college level work. It includes English, it includes math section and a writing section. So it is not in place of any other exam. And some, as I said, some schools will require it, others will not. And so if you don't have a SAT-1 and the school that you're interested in is offering you the option to submit or not to submit, then you would want to submit, especially if you qualify in everything else that they're if you're eligible for everything else that they're asking you to submit. So don't feel that the SAT-1 should be a burden on you if you don't have the exam, if you have not registered yet. But for those schools that do require it still, and you want to apply to those schools, then of course you will need to take that exam, and also make sure from that university website when is the maximum deadline to submit the results of that exam or not. And of course بدي أرجع عن موضوع التوجيهي. يعني عشان even if it's not required initially, don't slack off on the توجيهي, because some students have in previous years have failed an exam or two. They've had to retake these exams in order to qualify to enroll at that university. فالتوجيهي is equally as important in order for you to maintain your admission status as well as any scholarships that you may receive. Honors, awards, any awards that you've received, whether they're academic awards or any awards that you've received in high school that reflect your academics, or any kind of competitions that you've participated in and received an award for. Any other questions? Okay, I think we're over our time. If you think of any other questions, please feel free to send us an email, and we'll be happy to answer those questions and send them back to you. In the meantime, I want to thank you on behalf of myself and my colleague Marwa for joining us today. We wish you much luck with the application process, and please don't feel hesitant about reaching out to us for any questions that you may have, or any guidance that you need, or clarification that you may need in filling out the common application, or any other components of the application folder. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.